It was a quiet, typical Tuesday morning at Fairbrook High. The sun cast a golden glow through the large windows of the classroom, making the hardwood floors shine beneath the students' desks. The faint sound of rustling papers and clicking pens filled the room as the students prepared for their next test, an exam that had been looming over them for weeks. At the front of the class, Mr. Tanner stood with his arms crossed, surveying the room with a stern expression. His reputation as a strict teacher had preceded him, and the students were accustomed to his exacting standards. He was known for his sharp mind and unforgiving nature when it came to academic integrity. In the back corner of the classroom sat Alex Harper, a quiet and studious young man who had always prided himself on his academic achievements. Alex wasn't the most outgoing, but he was incredibly focused when it came to his studies. However, today, something was different. His palms were slick with sweat, and his heart was racing in his chest. He had been studying for weeks, but the pressure of the test felt like a weight pressing down on him. As the test began, Alex felt his confidence falter. He glanced around the room, his eyes quickly flitting to the clock on the wall. Time seemed to slip through his fingers like sand as he worked through the questions, trying desperately to recall the information he had spent so many nights memorizing. The test wasn't particularly difficult, but the stakes felt impossibly high. Suddenly, Alex's hand trembled as he reached for his pen. His paper, which had been relatively clean at the start, was now littered with smudges and crossed-out answers. He was getting lost in his thoughts, his mind clouded with doubt. Had he studied enough? Was he going to fail? As the minutes ticked away, Alex's sense of time seemed to stretch. The classroom was eerily silent, except for the soft scratch of pens on paper. Then, something unusual happened. Mr. Tanner, who had been walking between the aisles of desks, suddenly stopped and turned his piercing gaze toward Alex. "Alex," Mr. Tanner called, his voice sharp and commanding. "Can I see your paper for a moment?" Alex froze. His heart skipped a beat. Had he made a mistake? Was his handwriting too messy? Slowly, he lifted his paper and handed it over to Mr. Tanner, who examined it closely. The silence in the room grew thick, and all eyes shifted toward the front of the class. Mr. Tanner's eyes narrowed as he glanced between Alex's paper and his own. Then, without warning, he pointed to the paper and declared, "Alex, I'm afraid I have to accuse you of cheating." Gasps filled the room. The murmurs of disbelief echoed through the class as Alex's face turned pale. His mind raced as he tried to process what was happening. Cheating? He had studied so hard for this test. He had never once even thought about taking shortcuts. And now he was being accused of something he hadn't done. I didn't cheat," Alex stammered, his voice shaking. "I swear I didn't." "Don't lie to me, Alex," Mr. Tanner said coldly. "The answer to question 5 is exactly the same as the 1 on the answer key. How do you explain that?" Alex looked down at his paper, his eyes scanning the question and the answer. His breath caught in his throat. It was true. The answer was identical to the 1 on the answer key, but Alex had never seen that answer before. He had no idea how it had ended up on his paper. I didn't copy," Alex said, his voice growing more frantic. "I swear I didn't. I don't know how that happened." The room fell into an uncomfortable silence, and Mr. Tanner's eyes remained fixed on Alex. "I'm afraid you'll have to come with me," he said, his voice unwavering. Alex's stomach twisted in knots as he slowly stood up from his desk. His mind was spinning with confusion and disbelief. How could this be happening to him? He had always been the model student, the one who followed the rules and did everything by the book. But now, here he was, being accused of cheating in front of his classmates. As he walked toward the door, he could hear the whispers and murmurs of his peers. They were all watching him, their eyes filled with judgment. Alex felt like he was walking to his doom, his heart heavy with the weight of the false accusation. He had no idea what had gone wrong, but he was determined to clear his name.